few chapters from her book Life in Colonial America by Julia Garstecki. So here's our table of contents. We're going to jump to chapter 2 called Hardship and Survival. You'll be answering questions on this chapter in the next few slides. Chapter 2, Hardship and Survival. English colonists landed in Virginia in the early 1600s. They settled Jamestown in 1605. Determined to get rich quick, many men went in search of gold instead of planting crops and preparing for shelters for the cold winter. This was a deadly mistake. The supply of beef and pork brought from England didn't last long. Supply ships did not come as expected. The Jamestown settlers fished and ate anything they could hunt, including turtles, birds, and raccoons. When that failed, the desperate men also ate dogs, horses, and rats. By the fall of 1607, more than half the settlers had died. Like the English colonists in Jamestown, those in the northern colonies struggled to find food, especially because they arrived in winter. England was slow to send supply ships. Everything had to be grown or caught. Starvation and sickness caused many deaths. I'm going to stop and go to this turquoise box over here in the corner that says Perspectives, the First Inhabitants. I'm going to read this out loud. The Pueblos, Algonquins, and Iroquois were some of the first native people to interact with the Europeans. Some Native Americans helped the colonists grow food to survive, but Native Americans and colonists often had conflicting attitudes about owning land. Many Native Americans believed in communal ownership of resources, meaning the whole community shares everything they have. Colonists believed in individual ownership of pieces of land. These different ideas led to conflict between natives and newcomers. Seeking shelter. The first settlers built their shelters inside a palisade or a wooden fence built for defense to protect their small colony. Temporary homes were built out of sticks and brush. Settlers wove sticks together to make one room with a dirt floor. They used mud to fill in any holes. Eventually, colonists cleared land to make way for permanent homes. The abundant trees of New England were a great resource. Colonists built sawmills that could turn logs into usable planks or lumber. Colonists dug cellars and drove heavy logs to the ground for support. Planks placed in an overlapping pattern made strong walls. Roofs were made with sod and bark. Colonists added lofts for sleeping and eventually staircases to replace crude ladders. Windows made of oiled paper allowed light in. Doorways were small and low, so people had to duck to enter through them. Small doors and windows kept large animals out. Clay was common along the Atlantic coast, particularly in Virginia. Colonists shaped it into bricks, dried bricks, and baked them in an oven. Homes made of brick were less likely to catch fire than those made of wood. The clay kept homes warm in the harsh winter months. New England colonies grouped homes close together. Churches, taverns, and meeting halls created towns surrounded by farmland and pastures. Many farmhouses were built in the middle colonies, which included the states that are now considered New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. In order to acquire large areas of land, settlers often simply took land from the Native Americans who were already living there. The Native Americans usually resisted losing their land, which led to battles. I'm going to stop and go to the corner, this box over here, that says Native American dwellings. Many Native Americans in the Northeast lived in dwellings called wigwams, wickups, and weedas. Men built dome-shaped wooden frames, while women were in charge of covering the frames with bark or woven rushes. Wigwams were 15 to 20 feet in diameter and 8 to 10 feet tall. Wigwams were relatively easy to build and maintain. Looks like over here there's a picture of a wigwam with a caption that says wigwams means dwellings in the Abenaki language. part of the Algonquin family of languages. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, so I'm going to click on the word. Oh, it's not going to define it for us. Okay. That's the end of chapter 2. Please make sure to go through the next few slides and answer the 3 questions completely.